All right, Master Mason, note. George Gold coming at you here for the Bluestone Militia. This is something we need to know, guys. There's a lot of ketters out there on the board in the world today, and something we got to do is to understand them. Essentially, we are SCP. We are Secure, Contain, Protect. Not only for everybody else around us, not always. Sometimes I let them run around. It's a nice little one. It'd be good to teach that kid something with that demon right there. We're going to let that one run around. A little low ranking. No, not too big of a big deal. And the emotional contagion here. I see this. I've been here before, buddy. I get what you're doing. And so I really want to talk about some of those higher end concepts of emotional contagion. Now, what do we know about words in this class? What have I taught you guys before about the word manic, bipolar, schizophrenia, and all these other things? Those words don't exist to you anymore. You're not allowed to use them. I told you that for a reason, and a few of you actually managed to get good enough with it so you could actually determine what manic is. And the definition of that is an event where you can actually capitalize on that physics, negative or positive. I see the positive aspects of this very manic situation, and we're going to lay them out slow in Kelvin. And on the other sides of that, we see all the temperature differential in here, and we know how to collect every single photon like they marshmallows, organize them so they're the right temperature in this blended cold to hot organization, tall to short, to split the fucking Red Sea here. You know what I'm talking about? All right. And this is this emotional contagion. It's something we all share emotionally. We got to keep moving right now. I don't know where the ketter is. It could be a mouse or a gorilla, a saber-tooth tiger out there. And essentially, we share that fear. We share that anxiety. But these words don't exist to you anymore. I told you. Fear is not something you know. Fear is something that is physics. You will either integrate the negative side of this or the positive side of this in that moment, in that race. You should have no fear. You have no fear, you're going to have this emotional connection with somebody standing across the room, because it's not going to be in your head. It's going to be everywhere else, and that's where that irrational emotional connection or contagion is going to be. It's a FMA, momentum. It's a contagion. It's conquest. It's this idea that we go out for rabbit hunters. Now, obviously, amongst on the King's Forest out here in a little old, I bet you it's going to get pretty. You can't, even if you were to do some of those things, are you taking the science into consideration about other fucking factors? I don't mean that to be, here's this player. I'm talking about a married man. I don't mean that even it's wrong. You've made choices. You're going to have a graphene filter in your house if you went to single, marry, happiness to, I want to turn into a polygamist. I want to start running around on this very consistent timeline and function to one that is sneaking around in all the odd numbers that might pop up. See how there might be an emotional contagion effect in here, or connection, that you share that emotion, that physics with somebody, and that they might be able to perceive a little bit better with their clairvoyancy of what the fuck is going on. You're not connected to that person anymore. You're not involved in the same way you used to be before. And there's nothing wrong with that. It might be the same way that you learned emotional contagion at this point. Put it back in. This is a lion pack, not necessarily just your every human spectrum of that. That might require you to do things in this region. You might have friends involved in here, friends with benefits, not with benefits, and trying to make that connection work, because it's an emotional contagion. Those words don't work for you no more. It's just a momentum. It's just a potential with points and how they are interreacting. Now, sometimes you have to make note of these irrational numbers. Say she got a little wet right there, twirling her hair. Old drill sergeant pretty much jaw hit the floor like he's ready to suck your dick. Does it matter? No, it don't matter. That's that irrational number. Something that I like that. Bang, that's that emotional connection, right? You're motivated. Yeah. Attitude is right where it needs to be. I'm with you, brother. I don't care if I was hot as shit right now, boy. You be on my team. I'd 94 you in a champ. I get on your shit. That's right, man. We in bed together. You get up in the morning, I get up in the morning. But beyond these things, again, I want to make sure that I make this reference to you that the emotional contagion is, as anything else, is these words that ripple on the pond. If you said them wrong, if the actions beyond that act of, yes, I have the ability to do it, creating an off-balance equation, did you take the time to balance the equation, or think about what you will need to do in order to balance that equation? What I find personally is when you want to push, they call it push in or something like that. I don't do it very much because, well, you run into a lot of gravity, especially with things like bosses and pay and timelines and things like that. Are there great ways to do it in there and get it like that? Yeah, but you wind up having to rebuild the universe. And unless they're idealizing you for some reason out of this, then just take my experience on this one. And it's nothing personal. It's just that, again, this brown thing. I want to make sure I get in front of it, especially a lot of bosses that are really good and they're trying not to be greedy, but paying attention to that number. See, I'm a good guy. I'm a single guy. I'm not trying to be greedy. But I'd have to take in consideration where and how to use this. When I'm going to use it on somebody that is going to do this. I'm not just talking about getting some girl fucking horny. There's a lot of setup in here, and you're going to have to think about your local topology. That's going to be those sleeping at night hypnotism videos that help to build confidence, because you're going to need eye contact. You're going to be pushing here. I'm a dominant bull. If you start looking away, I'm going to start looking. And you need that momentum. You need those situations to trip the motor over. You need that snare stick or spring snare with the correct design and the lengths, because if you just try to go out there like that, you're going to have a lot of problems. That's why there's so many disclaimers with those pickup artist lines and things like that. What I actually need to do is work in-depthly with you. Here is the standard model. Which ones are best for your topology? Which ones are best for your situations? Something like I'm going to understand in the stone mill of how to do the processes, how to make that emotional connection with Blue and the boss, and potentially anybody else when I'm making that number as parallel geodesics to explaining this when I take my points to Chuck E. Cheese. Try to pick up on a single woman or a single mom with a kid. Look at all the potato clock things you got in here. Manufacturing, industrial, some things she might be looking for here beyond the point of just this horny get wet connection. You want to make all of those neural networks inside here to this AI. How's it coming at you programming? And that's that connection, because AI is essentially a neural network. It's actually the connection of firing that made the right color or tone or series of actions with the least results in calculus. I know there's a frame for it. I've studied it, I've practiced it before, I've made one, and now I'm put it out here. But you do have to be considerate of your environment. You really do. It's super critical. I mean, and again, it doesn't necessarily need to be just this get wet kind of thing. Hook up with this girl that blew you off, or real shy girls, or how to do any of those. They are all the same physics, and you're gonna have to get used to that. It's absolutely more beneficial and easier to start with a standard model, but none of us ever had copper. We just took advantage of the situation of being in the barrel of a gun. Catch you on the next one.